So very often on this channel, um, I often bring up two things very often that come up. Besides the obvious, um, Preston, or the Preston model, as it's very often known as, and of course a book in particular called Paint Your Town Red. It is a very, very good book. Unfortunately, I can't find it at the moment, which is always annoying. Again, definitely a theme for that. But if you want to get it, again, it is available on Amazon. Definitely recommend it, or in again your local bookstores if they do happen to stock it. It is also available on audio as well. So if you've got a free Audible credit, definitely go give it a listen. Again, very, very good. It sets out a way that Labour members and indeed Labour Party members have used the community actions to bring stuff back from the private ownership back into a community ownership scheme and ways of funding it through a community way. And honestly, this is what is rolling out among most local Labour councillors. Most of the local Labour councillors as well has spread out from Preston, these ideas. Wakefield is very, very much leaning towards this side, looking at a few of the things that they've borrowed from it, as well as a couple of other councils have borrowed from it. Preston, one of the most wealthiest councils in the UK, again following this model, lowest again form of lowest unemployment in the country, lower than the national average, highest employment in the country, again higher than the national average, again because it is following these models of, again, community ownership and communal ownership as well. So we're going to go diving into this because, again, there's lots of stuff we could cover from the Preston model, but this is, to be honest, it's a really good article. It's about 8 months old at this point, but again, it does give all the key points to this. And again, if you are really interested in this and this does spark your imagination, then go buy that book. Go look up the Preston model and Paint Your Town Red. It is a very, very good read and a very, very good listen should you, again, happen to get it. So again, I'm not sponsored by it, but honestly, if you are interested in this type of stuff, this is the type of stuff you should be reaching out, getting, and indeed giving a good read. So, as always, before we do jump into the article, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me a coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do support the channel that way. So, on with this. So, this comes from The Guardian, the title of Preston is a lesson for Labour, and it shows communities you can deliver change. Preston City Council was the only Labour-led authority in Lancashire to retain all its seats in the recent local elections. Despite the losses the party experienced across the UK, Preston's success shows what can happen when a Labour council puts forward a transformative political vision. In a very similar story in other areas, where the party offered a politics that spoke directly to working people, such as Manchester, Merseyside, and Salford. Throughout Britain, communities want change, and Labour must offer a clear, precise vision about how it can deliver this. And Preston's success lies in a strategy the council has been pursuing for nearly a decade, known as community wealth building. In the past, the council relied on global developers to promote all sorts of the promise of major retail investment to deliver economic opportunities. In 2011, when a major shopping centre development that would have brought at least £700 million of investment into local area failed to materialise, it was decided then to take matters into its own hands and pursue a model of what would bring resilience to the local economy, ensuring wealth remained within the area and giving people a say over their economic destinies. A central part of the approach is encouraging big institutions such as hospitals and universities to join this movement for local economic and social progress. These anchor institutions are unlike the conventional businesses. They're publicly owned and they won't just get up and leave, spend billions annually, and employ thousands of people in the area. In Preston, the council has encouraged them to pay the real living wage and to buy much more from local businesses rather than remote corporate giants. They've also ensured that the council and public pension funds invest locally, and they've used the planning system to support local employment and in large commercial developments. These policies are transforming Preston. The city is being regenerated by a common endeavour, with the public sector delivering more contracts to local companies and employing more local workers. As well as buying and hiring and investing locally, they're building a more democratic economy by expanding worker and employee ownership. Preston is currently planning a regional cooperative bank, providing the support for food purchasing cooperatives, exploring district and community energy production, and putting key city developments into municipal ownership. The intention is to scale up this Preston model and build a popular municipal socialism. Of course, this model isn't the answer to everything, and the city still faces significant challenges, particularly deprivation. The historic loss of the well paid manufacturing jobs, and of course, the recent shocks of the lockdown restrictions. But before COVID-19 struck, the community wealth building had contributed to our highest employment rate for decades. We had the highest number of workers receiving the living wage in all local authority areas in Lancashire, and we've created opportunities for people who live here rather than relying solely on investment decisions and big businesses to create jobs and growth. As we recover from the COVID-19, local governments won't achieve the social, economic, or environmental progress we need to rely from the older forms of development. The pandemic has exposed how deeply on property investors and high street retailers to deliver economic growth is inherently precarious. These sectors, particularly shopping centres and retail, have taken a huge hit, and it will take years before they actually fully recover from the pandemic. Depending on this type of extractive growth, where wealth is siphoned out of our communities for the benefit of different shareholders, is no longer a feasible model. Community wealth building is a rejection of this approach. And though it was barely mentioned a decade ago, its principles are now being adopted by numerous local and regional leaders, whether by Paul Delford in Salford, Mark Drayford in Wales, Joe Camley in North Ayrshire, Steve Rotherham in Merseyside, Sadiq Khan, who is also working with Labour anchor institutions to lead the city's recovery through purchasing and recruitment. There is also a growing number of US cities, including New York, San Francisco, Chicago, adopting these very same stratagems to expand their worker and employee ownership and introduced public banking and exploring how individual data can be brought into collective ownership. This movement is being instigated by communities and local politicians rather than central government, and has the potential to shape the political and economic agenda in places ahead of Westminster. For Labour, this could be very decisive. If the party wants to capture voters' imagination, it will need to put forward a genuine alternative to economic insecurity and inequality after decades of disinvestment, free market economic policies, and austerity. The party needs to offer a bold and radical agenda for transforming local communities, and it's only by showing communities what it can deliver these changes that Labour will have a chance of winning. And of course, this was written by the Labour leader for Preston City Council. I think the Preston model definitely shows a way forward for lots of Labour councils to do. And again, this has been a decade in the making, and that has efforts are now bearing fruit. These ideas and policies are now starting to expand into other Labour councillors, and they are starting to take root in other areas. So if you had actual central government investing behind these and putting money into this, this may not mean it may not now necessarily take a decade. This could be a lot shorter if they had, again, the backing from, again, central government. But the Tory party isn't going to invest in these types of things because these types of things are socialist. So, and they don't want anything to do with that. But as we go forward into this, these ideas are what we need to take forward. And especially, you need to be paying attention to your local Labour elections, because as I've said before, local turnout for local elections is not very big. It's maybe about 30%. So if you get organised and you know that there's a local Labour councillor who is, putting forward these ideas for Preston, go out, vote for them, encourage other people to go out and vote for them, get these people in, because This is showing dramatic positive benefits in places like Preston and other areas that are adopting these very similar same ideas. So this could be very well beneficial to your area as well if you get these people in as well. So pay attention to your local Labour candidates this coming up May elections, because, like I said, turnout for these elections is very, very low. So it's very, very easy to get these types of candidates in with these types of policies. So pay attention to them and listen to what they're saying. And if not, just ask them, are you willing to follow the Preston model? What about the Preston model? Ask them about the Preston model, what they think about it, and you'll probably find out very quickly what they do about it. And again, put them in if they are for it. Vote them in. That's how you do these things, and it could bring a massive change to your local economy in some very beneficial ways. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.